Okay, so I was thinking as we were talking, we were going to do this, so, everybody needs to jump in. Hey, are we on?
We're on.
Welcome to the B. Andrews Radio Show. It is great to have you here on this second day of January in the new year. However, we are broadcasting the show early because...
In the future.
Because B. Andrews is not in the studio
B.
on
Andrews
the second.
time travel.
Yes, so you're a part of our time warp, and it's so good to have you to be a part of our listening audience. I am one of your co-hosts on this side of the room. I am Eric, a member of the B. Andrews Band. On the other side of the room is your other co-host, John. Say hi, John.
Hi.
All right. And by the way, John is heading into the new year. He is our Hostess Maximus.
Impressive.
That is,
I'm impressive.
You're impressed.
So
No, I'm impressed by you. That's
so
what
impressive.
it is.
So
impressive.
Who else is in the room with us?
There's somebody
Who
else
is that
in
over
here.
there?
I'm telling you, we hit him in the corner with the microphone, and he spoke before he was pointed at. That was really good. So, listening audience, we want to welcome today a guest in studio. His name is David. Say hi, David.
Hi, David.
I was thinking you might have forgotten his name there for a minute.
He is not a member of the B. Andrews Band, but
Yes.
is an official roadie because he is one of our friends that we have met on the road. David happens to be with us from Florida.
Yes.
And visiting to us. Can you believe this? He left the warmth of the West Coast, the Gulf Coast, the Gold Coast of Florida. Is that the Gold Coast too?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
the Gold
no,
Coast, just the Gulf
Gulf
Coast of Florida.
In sport and in water.
Okay, to be with us, and literally, his church. I could throw a baseball from his church and throw it into the Gulf.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, the church. End of street Gulf. It's right there. It's really kind of cool. And he left that warmth to come and be with us here in Wisconsin because he misses the cold weather in his life.
I thought you were going to say because he was crazy.
Getting off that plane.
So give us an official hello there, David.
Well, hello. It's great to be here. I mean, this is my first time doing this, so this is the standard for all other times. This will be amazing.
Okay, wow. So you're
Bumping hitting mics in the studio. It's all
You're
good.
missing all the action that's happening here in the studio. We got people bumping microphones, smacking them with their heads. This is pretty cool.
Very sorry about that.
This is radio professionalism at its zenith.
Okay. Which adjective are you going to describe? Describe that.
I was thinking quasar, but that doesn't quite zenith. We'll go apex, zenith.
Aren't those all like DVD companies? Like, don't those all make whatever? Anyway.
Well, back in the day,
Sorry,
they used to
whatever,
make TVs.
Bunny Trail.
Anyway, so what? This is over to David. You all out there in Radio Land can't see me point. So, what was the temperature when you left Florida?
The temperature was 95 degrees.
Oh! So we did. He's been here for a week, and I haven't even asked him that question. So it was 95 when you left, and I think this past week we have averaged maybe 0.
No,
it might even
probably,
be 2 below for the entire week.
Picked him up from the airport, came walking out. As soon as we left the terminal, his first words were, "There's a feeling."
Oh.
And what did he look like when you picked him up?
How many layers did you have?
Oh, I had 4, 5, 6 layers on top. I had thermals and jeans, but I had flip-flops on because I had forgot to pack shoes in my carry-on, and I wore flip-flops to Wisconsin.
So I could just see this.
He had his boots on by the time we left the terminal. Don't worry about that.
But I could just see this. All the people, he comes walking off the plane that came from Florida with all these different layers and flip-flops.
I went through security, just coasting through. And
I see.
It did not go as planned.
Gotcha. And all them Wisconsin people that were getting off the plane. How many of them asked you, "Hey, you're not from around here, are you?"
All of them. There was this old lady next to me who just kept saying, "Now you have a place to stay, do you?"
Yeah, it's not quite like Florida where you could just go bum around on the beach.
She clutched my arm. I'm like, please let go of me.
I'll be okay. Seriously.
Well, the Polish and the Norwegians up here, they like taking care of the young men.
You guys have fed me well. This has been awesome.
Oh, well, we're transplants, so.
Yeah, we're not.
You better be glad we could do that. But the locals, the people who are born, raised here, the Polish, the Norwegians, the Germans up here, although we do have our German heritage. But yeah, they're great. They feed you, and they realize, and I will say that about our area, they realize that when it comes winter, everybody struggles with certain things, but if you got food, you can make it through the winter. And that is one of the things that people share very easily around here. They will share their food. And it really is really cool. So anyway, it's been good to have him, and it's been a lot of fun. Been doing a lot of different things this week, partly because David has been with us, partly because it is the week between Christmas and New Year and heading into the New Year. And so you got all these holidays, you got all these things that we do heading towards the end of the year. So coming out of Christmas Eve and Christmas and get on the other side of that a couple of days, school is out, kids are running around in the snow. Actually, we have nobody running around. It's too cold to run around outside. And then heading into New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and football and the Packers. Oh gosh, the Packers.
I love the Packers.
And DeRogers got put on.
Oh.
He got put on IR list, so that's it. We don't get to see DeRogers anymore this season, so he's gone. Guests are coming in and out, and but one of the things when you think about the New Year's, it's kind of the time of the year where we look to the future. We look at the past. We look towards the future. We kind of just these few days take an assessment where we've been and maybe plot our course of where we're going a little bit better. And one of the ways that we do that is kind of taking a look at what's happened in the past year. So here, this particular B. Andrews radio show, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the top news stories of 2017.
Hey.
Are y'all ready for this? So here are some of the top news stories of 2017. I'm going to throw them out to my illustrious panel that happens to be here. That includes you, David.
Yes. Wow.
Okay. And but no dancing, no Carltons. Your sweater isn't on. So you can't do the Carlton.
Very unfortunate.
Besides, it's a radio audience, not a TV audience.
Again, that's not the adjective I would have used to describe that.
Unfortunate.
Hey, we could go old school here.
Oh, we could. All right. So first news story, obviously, well, maybe not so obvious, is out of January of last year. So it will be exactly a year that we have gotten our new president.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he would have taken office.
Top news story of the year. And this is a no political zone, so we're not allowed to talk politics here, but
we're still American.
Still Americans.
Booyah.
And you have to admit that no matter what, good, bad, or indifferent, President Trump has dominated
the news.
They don't let you forget about that.
Yeah.
Either it's somebody going after him because he's done something wrong, or he's tweeted something and he's made lots of people upset by tweeting it, or that he's proposing a new law, or he is by executive order or letting executive order die.
Yeah, I think I heard he sneezed once.
Well, I have heard that he gets 2 scoops of ice cream and that he drinks a lot of Diet Coke and he spends a lot of time playing golf. There was one news story just the other day because of the time between Christmas and New Year's. He went to Mar-a-Lago, which is his resort that he owns, and he went down there for the holidays. So he's not renting any or whatever, and he played golf. And the news agency was mad because for privacy, he took a 40-foot box truck. There's a street that runs along one part of the fairway of his golf course, and the brush is a little thin where you could see through, and all the news media were gathering right there so they could take pictures like paparazzi. All right. And so the day that he was going to be playing that fairway, he took a 40-foot box truck and pulled it right in front of the fence. And they were going nuts. And they're like, what? They don't want us filming him? He's afraid that he's gonna have a bad stroke. I mean, it was really kind of funny. And I'm thinking, it sounds like called privacy to me.
Well, they haven't let Trump be out of the headlines. Earlier this year on this show, we talked about just like if we could just not hear two names again, we'd be totally okay with not hearing the words Trump or Hillary ever.
Right.
Ever again.
Guys, go do your work. And which is the reason why we're having a no politics zone, is because we really don't want to talk about them. And so here we are. Top news story of the year. Trump.
Dang it.
So let's move right along.
Okay.
Next one. Oh my goodness. Trump related. North Korea.
Oh, well, I mean, you could talk about that without Trump.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And so thoughts, guys? North Korea, tensions with North Korea. Rocket Man shooting off rockets.
I mean, last time I checked, like, building up rockets and threatening to shoot them at people was kind of something schoolyard boys were punished for, so.
Okay, that put that in perspective.
There's a lot of people that agree with you on that. It's
are you saying Un is a schoolyard boy being punished?
It's a little immature.
Yeah, I mean, when you're making threats at people, you're always punished for it. But suddenly, when it gets into politics, and I'm trying to avoid that whole birth there, but people just like to cut corners or have double standards when it comes to doing difficult things.
So that was major story number 2. Major story of the year number 3. The Me Too movement. # Me Too? Is that was no hash?
It's Octothorpe Me Too.
Octothorpe. Wow, that's the original. It's an Octothorpe. Actually, it's hashtag for those of you out there that are into
what is this Me Too thing? I'm not even sure what we're talking about.
The Me Too movement? Oh, it was after all the sex scandals that came out. And then the gals that came out, they were like, I've been silent for all these years, but something happened to me. And so there was just these confessions that started coming out of the woodwork, and they would end the confessions with hashtag Me Too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what that was called.
Yep. So there was that. Here's 2 news stories that hit really big, really, really sad. The first, the massacre in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in Texas, the one that happened inside the church.
The shooting, yeah.
The shooting in the church. And those are things in here now. They've happened in America. You talk about just breaking our hearts. And they're just very, very, very sad things. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the church shooting, the church is going to close, and they're not going to reopen it, and it will become a type of museum and memorial all in one. They're going to actually take it down. The lot will become a memorial.
Is the church moving?
I don't know that, but the physical spot where the church is and the shooting happened will no longer be a church, and they will take that church down, and the whole property will end up becoming a memorial in that little town.
It's good that it's not
for that.
It's good that it's not closing out of like we've lost our leadership and we have to close our doors whether we want to or not.
Yeah, they didn't lose their leadership. Pastor and wife were away when that happened.
Really?
And lost their 13-year-old daughter. She was there. And so, yeah, heavy, heavy day. So this is going to be a good spot for us to kind of pull up here. And so a good place if you need to go get a drink as we refer to the year past. If you want to get you something on the cold beverage side, you may do so. If you would like to get you something on the hot beverage side, feel free to do that too. Whatever you do, go do it right now and come on back and listen to our show. Hey, if you want to be a part of the show, connect with us on Twitter at @BAndrewsBand, all lowercase, BANDREWSBAND, or IM us at Facebook by going to B Andrews. That's first name B, B-E, last name Andrews, ANDREWS.
go. So here we go. And don't give the rocks a chance. Come on, let's sing and dance. Catch the rapture on. Lost in the spirit, sweetest sound. You are God and King. Oh, the praise will bring, lifting up our voices to sing. Love for love. Call it a crisis or a fact of life. Either way, it's hard to take without an end in sight. But if all your pain.
Welcome back to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Having fun here in central Wisconsin at a whopping -2 degrees.
Did you say -2?
I said -2. I have no idea why I said that, but a whopping
Doesn't that even out at 0?
It's an equation. Figure it out.
not according to core mathematics, Common Core.
Don't.
Imaginary numbers here. We're going.
Oh,
Hey, that would be the group of real numbers, buddy. Okay, so for you mathematics people out there, keep up with this conversation. So anyway, we've been going over the top stories that of 2017 that have happened out there. We not necessarily going to go back over them. The last one we just finished up with, very, very sobering story about the shootings in Las Vegas and the one that happened in the church in Texas, and our new president that we've had for 1 year, probably the dominating top story, Kim Jong-un. Jong-un, I get it right there in just a second. A prominent leader of North Korea. We talked about him. He's a leading story. And hey, those couple of stories right there, they're going to double on over. We're not done with those. I mean, we got Trump for 3 more years, and Rocket Man, don't know what's going to happen with him and how that story has not stopped. So those are things we're going to be living with right on into 2017. One of the other top stories is this new method of terrorism, and it's happened even here in the United States, but that's using a vehicle for terrorism. Now, one of those stories goes back to 2016, but there was a village in Europe that was doing the Christmas thing, and it was all cordoned off for just pedestrians, and they used a truck to kill several people. I can't remember what town that was in. In Barcelona in 2017, there were people ran over in a terrorist attack by a vehicle. On the London Bridge, there were people killed, ran over in a terrorist attack by a vehicle. And right here in New York, in the United States of America, same method for a terrorist attack. So that has been a top news story. And I tell you, if there is some way that we can somehow stop this terrorism, that you want to talk about senseless killing. It is just senseless. And
that would be Jesus Christ would be the answer to that one.
Jesus Christ is the answer to that. And here's another story. Jesus Christ is the answer to this. Top story in the United States, the opioid epidemic.
Yeah.
Even here in rural Wisconsin, Waushara County, I've been working at trying to pilot a chaplaincy program with our county sheriff's department. And one of the ride-along days that I had to wait on my ride coming in. My ride-along was supposed to start at 7 a.m. in the morning. Didn't come back till 8 because at 6 a.m., the particular police officer that I was riding along with was responding to a heroin overdose. At 6 a.m. in the morning, they had been partying all night long. And when the other ones were coming out of their stupor by 6 a.m., they realized this one was laying on the floor, was turning blue, and he wasn't coming out.
Yeah.
And again, this is definitely something that Jesus is the answer for. You were telling me something about Dayton, David.
Yeah.
Repeat that.
I recently went up to Dayton with my dad to see Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
Dayton, Ohio area. And apparently it's the thoroughfare traffic. And as of this year or last year, it became the most centered overdose capital of America. It's just all the drugs are traveling through there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're hearing is there are more overdoses in Dayton, Ohio. That's where it's happening.
Yes.
They're the largest amount of them.
Yeah, per capita.
And it's we definitely need an answer here. And all the way up here, we've caught hold of stories about people have caught a hold of. Sorry, I mean, our producer over there gives me this look when I make verbiages that don't make sense.
Don't exist.
Don't make sense.
Don't exist.
Don't make sense. Hey, I just used it. It exists now. All right. Anyway, but all the way up here into Wisconsin, we've heard stories of parents that put their child in the back seat, pull their car over to the side, put the flashes on, and proceed to shoot up and wait and hope that a police officer will find them. I've seen at least 2 stories out of Ohio all the way up here. It's getting to be way, way, way too common. So, folks definitely need an answer to that problem. Hurricanes were a huge thing in the news. We have Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Maria. Puerto Rico for Hurricane Maria, Hurricane Harvey for Houston. Did I miss anything, David?
A little something called Hurricane Irma. I mean,
Little thing?
Little
thing?
The one that shut down the state of Florida?
shut it down completely.
Where you were down there?
Oh, I was down there. We did not evacuate, and that was you're not leaving yet? The state's going to be wiped out.
Now, let me ask you something. So here's a story. You lived through it because you're from down there. What is the threshold that says, once we reach this threshold, okay, boys, hit the car, we're out of here?
Well, Hurricane Irma was that threshold, but my dad a while ago was just kind of the I trust God, I'm not going, and that's just the mindset it gets into. But Hurricane Irma was larger than the one where we left, and the one we left missed us by a mile, and he's just embarrassed.
Wait. Are we talking about a literal mile or just like a long way off?
Metaphorical mile.
Okay, I was going to say, if it only missed you by a mile, I would still be leaving.
Now, something fantastic happened. And you got to tell me, I told everybody when we started the show that you guys are literally your church is a baseball throws away from the golf. Okay. I saw pictures of it and that there was such a vacuum of wind and the water pressure that Tampa Bay went dry.
Yeah.
Did you get to see that?
I saw that on the news, and then Inglewood Bay went dry as well. That's where I'm from. It just mud dry, and there was no rain for a little while. It disappeared, and then the wind came back, and the water pulled out, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
did anybody go walking out there just because they could?
Oh, people do that even when it's not. So.
Okay. Yeah,
there was a news story of a guy going, "Oh, it's up to like 6 feet," and there's a truck driving by, and the water's like 6 inches past its tire, and it's like tiny in the background.
But in Tampa Bay, they showed a picture of it, and a manatee was beached in Tampa Bay because
save the manatee.
Yeah, and of course here you got this sea hog that's out there, and it's like
sea cow,
yeah, and it's waving its flippers or whatever, and people are like, oh,
that is my state identity. You take that back.
It breathes air. It's okay.
That was God. It broke up and did nothing to us, and then came back together north of us. So that was an interesting experience.
The pictures that I saw of watching Tampa Bay get sucked out, it was just, and that wasn't the only place. It happened on a couple of sides of 2 of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So they had that too, and so they were doing that kind of stuff. So anyway, top story of the year, or not top story, but in the top 10 stories of the year. Hey guys, do you remember this? solar eclipse in
Yeah. Oh,
2017.
yeah.
A total solar
Yes,
eclipse.
I remember the non-working glasses they sold for that solar eclipse.
That company that sold hundreds of thousands of glasses, and in 3 days, and they did it online too, I think, right?
Yeah.
And in 2 days before, told everybody, don't use them. They're no good.
Well, they were getting everybody psyched out. It's like you shouldn't look at the sun. It's a solar eclipse. It'll fry your eyes. Don't look at the sun. Don't look at. It's like I'm pretty sure we always tell our kids don't look at the sun.
You would be surprised the amount of stupidity that comes out of people when you give them an excuse to be stupid.
and
You
a mi-
should, and a microphone.
Yes.
stare at the sun. Stare at it.
Here you go. You have a microphone. Make an announcement that sounds intelligent.
Did you say intelligent?
Yeah.
Intelligent.
Yes, he has a microphone,
Intelligent.
people.
You got it. You got a microphone. Sound intelligent. Don't eat the fish.
Oh, wow.
Look at
Wow.
the sun.
Wow. Wow.
Drink the water.
Wow.
Okay. Moving right along.
I knew you were going to say that.
So they give me a microphone. I say all kind of intelligent things all the time.
Yes. New word, people.
Intelligent.
So last but probably not least, and I'm just going to touch on this because it is huge in the news, although it has settled down, and that is the cultural things that have been going on where all of a sudden people are very, very upset and there's very extreme things happening out there. Two or three different sides to a group. You have Black Lives Matter and Antifa, which are already type of factual things that use violence in order to get their point across, and white supremacists and white. I hate using white nationalists. I'd like to think of myself as a white nationalist. Okay, but not in the way that they use the term. But anyway, so white supremacists on the other side, and so all of a sudden in Charlottesville, South Carolina, the two intentionally met up to duke it out, and it was bad. Someone got killed out of it, ran over by a car. So there's that thing again. We have history that has been over 150 years standing in our country that all of a sudden now is being ripped out. I'm not sure for that. But so there's this cultural upheaval. It's not the first time in U.S. history that this stuff's ever happened. Kind of went through the same stuff back in the 60s. And then we got some leveling out afterwards. But here we are again. And so these are some of the top news stories. And along with these news stories is also the people that we've lost in 2017. And so we kind of want to rattle off a few names. This by in no means is a complete list, by no means whatsoever. But guys, pick somebody, and we're going to talk about musicians here. So just kind of stay with the musicians.
Tom Petty.
Okay.
Malcolm Young.
Okay.
Al Jarreau.
Hold on.
I'm waiting for someone else to speak.
You lost me at musicians. I was sticking with the actors, and you're like musicians. So.
Okay, roll off a couple of the
Alan
actors.
Rickman and the guy from Labyrinth and just
Well, no, that's a musician.
yeah, he was a musician who was an actor, but it was amazing.
Okay, got a name?
Wait, Major Tom guy.
Yeah, Major
Yeah.
Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Oh, I feel like an idiot for
Stardust.
blanking on his name.
Was it Stardust?
There's a million people that are listening to this that are like,
Oh, they're
his
so.
name is blah.
Yeah.
Thank you for screaming. We'll listen.
Yeah, scream it louder. We can hear you in here if you do that. Anyway, so
blanking. David
anyone
Cassidy.
else?
Nothing that comes to mind off the top of my head.
Okay,
David Cassidy, the lead
David
singer
Cassidy.
for Linkin Park.
John Hurd,
Actor,
realized that. Della Reese, singer. So we have these different people that have been lost and very iconic. And I want to share something with you about that when we come back. So as we're doing a year-end review, we'll be back to finish up our final thoughts about that. You need a refill on your beverage. So go and do that. It could be cold. It could be hot. It could be
David Bowie.
David Bowie. No, it can't be David Bowie. Your drink has to either be cold or hot. It cannot be David Bowie.
It can always
And
be
after
David
all
Bowie.
that, come on back. We'll finish up this section.
Praise where we're free, lifting up our voices. It's not about if you can sing, it's all about the praise I sing your name. And I bring you praise. Don't give the rocks a chance. Don't give the rocks a chance. Come on, let's sing and dance and capture the rapture alone. Lost in the spirit, sweetest sound. To you are God and King. All the praise will bring, lifting up our voices to sing. Love for our
Welcome back to this year-end edition of B. Andrews Radio Show. Actually, it's the year's beginning edition of the B. Andrews Radio Show. Slight correction there. So, rattling off the different names before we went into break about people that we've lost in this upcoming year. We talked about news stories, what's dominated our headlines.
Did David Bowie die this year? Last year?
Actually, he was not on.
I think he died. He died longer ago than that.
Ah,
He did not. Yeah. Sorry, dude. I'll have to look that up.
I don't know. I have to look it up. I don't
my
have,
apology.
I don't have. That's all right. It's
Yeah,
it's
he
recent.
passed away of cancer, and that was a little bit longer ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are people that we've lost. And one of the other things during the break that we were talking about was Carrie Fisher and her mom. We lost them. And we were
Really
trying to
close
figure
together.
out if that was in 2016 or if that was at the first of the year in 2017. Carrie Fisher's mom,
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds. There you go. I always think of her as the unsinkable Molly Brown. That and a song that we did in our B. Andrews Radio Dinner Theater.
Tammy.
Tammy from the movie Tammy, which is Debbie Reynolds and who plays the
Leslie
love interest?
Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen, and quite the stunning young man in that movie.
Yes, yeah. Before I don't think he actually had white hair yet, which was impressive.
Correct. He was a light colored blonde and who has gone white. So anyway, rather interesting movie, lovely song.
I find it interesting, all of the musicians that have like passed away. It's just really interesting. Like we're a band, so someone that, from the point of view of someone who writes music, produces music, tries to put it out there. You know, most musicians look to like Malcolm Young of AC/DC, and they look to Tom Petty, these people that have written and put out music that people adore and love, and they're big. They're supposed to be everything that a musician is supposed to aspire to be. You know, popular. You know, people are singing your music, and yet it's amazing how, hey, look, they died, and some of these guys, it's hard to even remember that they passed away.
Yeah.
It's like you forget it a few months later, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy did pass away, huh? Yeah, and it just like that, they're gone, and it doesn't really everything that they had done in life. That song is just kind of a song. It's not really all that special necessarily. It's just amazing how all of their glory, if that's what you want to call it, just becomes nothing as soon as they're gone. You know,
there's something that we were talking again on break. It's 13 months ago, not 12, so it was in 2016 at the end of the year that Glenn Frey passed away. And the only reason why I mention him is because his accomplishments are just way out there of things that he has done. I mean, independently, he did a lot of good stuff, wrote music. I mean, everybody can still tell you about his songs for Beverly Hills Cop, The Heat Is On. with the Eagles. You know, it all started with this. I'm standing on a corner in Winslow. You know, that's it.
No, we don't know that song.
No, or so I've been told.
Yes, we don't know
I
that
don't know it by heart. Anyway, yes, I am a preacher. I do not know that. And he even made it onto TV and was doing TV specials and doing all that kind of stuff. Guest starred on that one show about the
Wise
monster.
Guys.
Wise Guy. Yeah. So you know the pinnacle of what he did and the money he made. I mean, the Eagles are known as the first super money-making rock group. They're the first super group and then first super money-making rock group. Owned their own jet. They were able to capitalize on their own brand. They were fantastic. But when it comes time that you're on that hospital bed or wherever you are, whatever's going on, and you're about ready to cross over the threshold from life to death, it is absolutely amazing how everybody is on equal ground. Doesn't matter what you've done. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what your name is. None of that matters. Because in moments from when passing from life to death, and there's a huge mystery in there none of us know anything about unless you've done it.
Like Paul.
And you can say something about the mystery or say, I can't tell you about it, like Paul. Every human is the same. Nobody has a higher leg up. Nobody has a lower leg up. We all stand. It says this in God's word, that it says you have this life, and after this, the judgment. And that's it. Everybody stands there. And the only difference is your relationship in Jesus Christ at that moment. But when we all pass, it doesn't matter what you've done over here. It doesn't go with you. Doesn't matter about your money. Doesn't matter about your status. Doesn't matter about your awards. Your name doesn't even matter.
Your family doesn't matter.
No.
Sorry.
No. When you stand before God, we're all equal until he asks that question. Is your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life? So there you go. Let's let the important things be the important things. And with that, we need a little bit of good news.
Well, you know, it's time for a little good news. And let the sun shine through for me and you with some good news. Okay, our good news story is from the ABC channel in Milwaukee, WISN. Let's see here. It says, "My heart is just joyful," homeless man says after a woman comes to give him hug gift. On Wednesday night, WISN 12 News gave you a raw look at how one homeless man spends each frigid night. The response to that story has been huge. People have been calling and emailing our newsroom wondering how they can help. Edward Kingery is homeless and has been living under a bridge along the Kinnick River for the past 2 years. There's nothing worse in your life than coming home and facing something like this, Kingery said on Wednesday. Kingery said he worked for the same company for 33 years. He lost several close family members in a short amount of time, and his life unraveled. His emotional interview resonated with 12 News viewers like Karen Oberlander. She wanted to meet Kingery to give him a hug and a gift. That was awesome. I mean, I felt that hug, and I'm just really glad that I was able to make him feel that way, she said. I want to hug me and hug me that hard and that tight. Oberlander gave him a $100 Visa gift card and a $20 M card to take the bus. Kingery politely refused the offer several times, but Oberlander wouldn't budge. "I'm overwhelmed," Kingery said. "My heart is just joyful." For 10 years of her life, Oberlander was in a similar situation. "You know, I've been homeless too," she said, so that kind of touched home with me too. "You know, I've been there, especially in the wintertime like this. It's even worse." Oberlander also wanted to show her 2 sons, 9-year-old Jaden and 16-year-old Zach, that Kingery may be homeless, but he's also a person. The stigma of homeless people being bad or alcoholics or drug addicts is not always the case, she said. There are good people, and you never look forward to that. You don't even think about it because you look like this, how he's dressed. And you're thinking that these people are looking down on you, Kingery said. He already knows how he'll spend the money, I'm sorry. I'm going to go buy some long johns, some warm socks, a couple of sweatshirts, and I'll probably buy somebody else something too, he said. I had some advice for Oberlander's sons. To be honest and good and with a gracious heart is a very good thing, he told them. Your mother is a great woman. Thank you so much. He also made a promise to Oberlander. I'm going to repay you someday, he said. Maybe I'll come shovel your snow. Kingery stayed at a shelter Wednesday and Thursday nights and planned to stay again Friday night.
That is an awesome story. The river, that's in Michigan, isn't it?
No, this is in Milwaukee.
It's in Milwaukee. Oh, okay. All right. Wow, I was trying to think. I've seen the name of that river, and I was trying to think of where in the world that was. That is absolutely awesome. The thing that got me is that, he knew what he was going to go get, but also is already in his mind that he was going to share that money with somebody else.
And repair, too.
And repair. And he truly means it, whether he'll ever get to. And here's the thing. People like that, he probably, if he knew where she was, would probably show up at where she lives and shovel her sidewalk or driveway or whatever it is. I saw a video one time, people trying to show off humanity. And there was this guy who came by. It was a college kid. And he's just like, hey, and there was a homeless guy sitting there, and he's like, hey, man, and these people were filming it where the camera was out of the way, hidden camera. They wanted natural human reaction. And so anyway, this guy, totally homeless. You could tell this coat was like 10, 12 years old, was rags. It was shredded off of the guy. His long hair. He's living on the streets. He's and has been for a long, long time, okay? Greasy looking, all that other kind of stuff because you're not showering, not doing all that stuff. Personal hygiene. Anyway, so a younger kid comes walking out of a pizza place that's just down from where he's laying up against the wall. And the kid goes, hey, man, you look hungry. Here you go. And he hands him a half a pizza out of the box. And the guy just is bewildered at the graciousness of this kid. They sent along, and of course he's in on it now. They sent along a second guy who is talking on phone. And he's just going, I don't know where I'm going to get the money. And he's in on it. And he just, all of a sudden, he sits down next to the guy and he starts crying. Make believe, he's an actor. The homeless dude eating one slice of pizza, and there's a half a pizza in there, so what does that make? About 3 other slices? Gets up and goes over to him and says, I think you need this more than I do. You need something to eat. And he hands the guy the pizza. Blows me away. Because what do we think of these people? We think that most of them are just selfish, gimme, 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 gimme. The same group did another one in another city, and they walked out, and the guy comes out, and he's just going, hey, man, you know what? You look like you need some help. And he hands him $20. And this homeless guy is just, whoa, $20. And so it's a chilly day. I think this one was in Seattle specifically. And he goes goes in, and he comes out with stuff, and he has this stuff, and he sits down, and a guy does the same thing, comes over, he goes, I don't know where I'm going to get the money for my kid's medicine. I don't know. He's acting like he's talking on the phone. The guy says, hey, man, wait right here. And he goes back in, turns back in all the stuff that he just bought, comes out and hands the $20 to the guy and says, you need this more than I do. Absolutely phenomenal. And that's stuff that we do on the new year. You're listening to the B. Andrews Radio Show. Go out, make a difference in the world. God bless you. See you next Tuesday.